Nigeria is the most populous African country and the seventh most populous country in the world, made up of 36 states in West Africa. Nigeria is probably one of the worst countries in the world when it comes to wealth redistribution and income inequality. As a nation that contains so many oil and mineral resources, less than 1% of the population controls about 99.5% of the country's wealth. This means that Nigeria's wealth distribution is more like a pyramid with a tiny wealthy class at the top and a large base of poor destitutes at the bottom. No country can really make economic progress without a strong middle class, and Nigeria doesn't even have a middle class, but has very few rich and very many poor. The average Nigerian lives on less than $1 a day. And there is a super rich class of business moguls and bankers and preachers and oil magnates whose private ownership of jets is more than that of any other country. Healthcare in Nigeria is a responsibility of the 3 tiers of government in the country, but because Nigeria operates a mixed economy, private providers of healthcare are also important in the healthcare delivery. The federal government's role is mostly limited to coordinating the affairs of the university teaching hospitals, while the state government manages the various general hospitals, and the local government focuses on the primary healthcare, like the dispensaries. The total expenditure on healthcare as a percentage of gross domestic product is 4.6, while the percentage of federal government expenditure on healthcare is about 1.5. Education in Nigeria is overseen by the Ministry of Education, and the local authorities take responsibility for implementing the policies for the state control education and state schools at a regional level. The education system is divided into kindergarten, primary education, secondary education, and tertiary education. They have the 6-3-3-4 system of education in Nigeria, where the student would spend 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior secondary school, 3 years in senior secondary school, and 4 years in tertiary institution. The 6 years spent in primary school and the 3 years spent in junior secondary school were merged to form the 9-3-4 system. Altogether, students need to spend a period of 6 years in secondary school. During this period, they are expected to spend 3 years in junior secondary school and 3 years in senior secondary school. I would consider Nigeria moderately developed, because less than 1% of the population in Nigeria is incredibly developed and controls nearly all of the wealth in this country, but most other people are highly underdeveloped in this country. If you look at oil production versus oil consumption, this statistic shows that oil is not used nearly as much as it is produced. This is to say that the Nigerian population does not have nearly as many cars or other machines that require oil as compared to a country that is much more developed, like the United States. This is to say that the Nigerian population does not have nearly as many cars or other machines that require oil as compared to a country that is much more developed, like the United States. Females have the higher population in the oldest age group, 0.85 males for every female. Females have this advantage because females tend to live longer in general than males. The Nigerian Civil War also took place between 1967 and 1970, and this could have had some effect on the gender gap in those later generations because more men go to war than do women. I think that if the pollution was reduced, this would drastically change the shape of the population pyramid, because people would not get infected so severely by diseases caused by this pollution, as much older people are more susceptible to those diseases. Also, if healthcare was better handled, I think that the average life expectancy would increase and change the shape of the pyramid. 43.9% of the population has yet to reach its childbearing years. This means that almost the majority of the population is under the age of 15, and that there will most likely be a large baby boom in the upcoming years. Actually, they're probably in the middle of one right now. The large majority of the population is under the age of 20, so that means that there have been many babies born in the past few decades, and that there will probably be many more babies born in the next couple decades as well.